So for those of you that watch my channel on a regular basis, you know that I'm always going to prefer tube amplifiers to modelers. That being said, I like to try all kinds of different gear just to see what's out there, stay current, and it's just a lot of fun. And today, we're gonna check out an amp modeler that's completely analog and smaller than an iPhone. So I discovered DS Humboldt at the 2023 NAMM show, and honestly, I would have probably walked right by their booth if I didn't see the wonderful David Kim demoing this product. David flagged me down while he was playing, and he's like, you gotta come over here and try this, it's really cool. And I was pretty dismissive. I was like, nah, another amp modeler, okay. The team at DS Humboldt really blew my mind actually when they said this little box is an amp modeler that's completely analog except for the onboard digital reverb. The thing that really intrigued me was the fact that they said it was all analog circuitry, because I started thinking maybe this will feel better than most digital modelers do to me. So I'm going to take you through a deep dive of the Simplifier MKII from DS Humboldt. We're going to talk about who it might be for, how it might benefit people, and who it might not be for, and how it might not benefit you or your needs, because that's what we want to do when we dive into a product. So I think the Simplifier MKII can be a really good tool for the player that wants a simple, all analog, amp-in-a-box modeler that they can hook their pedals up to and enjoy all the stuff they normally play without having to learn, how to program a unit or toggle through menus and presets and that sort of thing. It's really simple, and you're gonna see how it works. So I've grown pretty fond of the Simplifier. It's a cool little box. I wanted to feature it on the channel for a while, and I thought, while we're at it, let's see if Sweetwater will help us give one of these away. So Sweetwater is not only sponsoring the video, but they're supplying an extra Simplifier MKII to do a giveaway on, and we're gonna make it international. So go ahead and enter in the links below. All right, let's take a look at all the controls in the Simplifier MKII. In this first section here, it's very amp-like. Well, most of the whole thing is very amp-like, actually. And we're gonna talk about the preamp gain, which is right here. Well, my fingers are covered up. And then the tone stack. And then there's this power amp section too, which is really cool. The tone stack is just like you'd see on a normal sort of 3-band EQ on an amp. And you'll notice when I'm recording, I cut my bass usually quite a lot. If I don't, you're gonna hear it get kind of muddy in the low end. If I want to even that out a little bit, I'll bring it down. It's a trick a lot of recording guitar players do, because a lot of that low end in the mix will get cut out anyway. So when I'm recording, I just kind of ditch a lot of it anyway, and it feels nice and even. But otherwise, live, go for broke. Set it however you like to make that bass feel good to you. I don't need it that much when I'm recording, so that's why I'm turning it down. The preamp gain is a really, really important knob, because this is where you're going to get your clean or your overdriven sounds and anywhere in between. And you can hear we have quite a nice clean sound happening. And that's happening because not only of the position of this knob, but also of the power drive, they call it. I call it power amp, because that's what it reminds me of, a preamp and a power amp volume in an amplifier. And to really get those clean sounds from any amp in that sort of configuration, you want to turn this knob up almost just as high as it'll go, because so much tone and feel is happening from the power amp. And to get those nice clean tones, that is sort of the recipe. If I were to turn that preamp gain up more, I would get more overdriven tones, but I'd have to adjust my power amp accordingly. You'll play around with these kinds of things, whatever amplifier you have, and you'll see what I mean. Now, so inside of this is where I can actually select the sort of amplifier tone that's being modeled. Now, again, this is all analog, so it's probably a bunch of filters and different, circuitry going on to sort of, influence the tone, as opposed to a digital capture or an impulse response of an amplifier. None of that's happening in this box. We're gonna revisit these switches in a bit, but notice they're in the middle right now, giving me both the USA preamp and power amp. What I can do is mix and match them however I like, or make them, paired as well. But if we go over to the middle section of the pedal here, or the amplifier, I should call it, you can see we do have a master volume control, and that's the overall volume of the unit there. So be weary of that when you're using it live. That's going to be where you're sending your signal to the final, the final destination. A resonance control is like a low end adjustment for a power amp, and a presence controls, a high end. And you can see I turned it up a little bit because I thought it sounded nice on this model and it added some sparkle. But you can do whatever you like. And I believe the resonance knob changes when you go to more of the Vox setting that's in here. It goes to more of the cut control that would be synonymous with that amp. They say in the manual, if you're all the way clockwise, I believe, you're getting the normal power amp of the amplifier they're recreating, okay? Otherwise, you're just kind of adjusting low end, okay? So it feels good with the way I have it set up. As you move on, we're in the speaker section now. This is where it gets kind of wild, and I've never seen a product do this, which is really cool. You can select 3 different types of cabinet styles, whether it's a single 12, a twin, which is 2 12s, and then a stack, which would be a 4 12. And you'd adjust those by clicking them in any direction you like. From there, each one has a speaker color knob, and we go from blue or black, blue, and green. So black would be like an Eminence type speaker. Blue's a Celestion blue. It's going to have some sparkle on the top end, some jangle, and then green's more of like a greenback Celestion style speaker. What's cool is we can assign either one to either output. We can make them the same, or we can have a different one in the left and right. For now, I just kind of kept it right in the twin section. They're both all the way to the black side. But as I turn them, you'll hear slight differences. A little more woofy low end and mid range. It's kind of hard to do it with one hand. So it's very subtle, but it is a feel thing, and that's the important thing to remember about this box is I think this is a set it and forget it type amplifier. We're gonna do that later when I plug some pedals in here. Set it one way and then use it like an amplifier. This, in my opinion, and I wanna express this to you that actually really pay attention to my channel and the advice I try to give is, this is not one of those like, MIDI devices or any box that's gonna have multiple channels. We're talking about getting one sound and using it in combination with some other gear to function as a real amplifier. I think this is a really fun tool for that. And we want to dial through some of the other sounds, some breakup stuff, just to hear what it has to offer. But think about that as we go forward. This is a single channel amplifier. This isn't a switching amplifier. This isn't a MIDI device. This isn't a multi, preset modeler type of thing. It's for the player that just wants one sound and use all their pedals with it. It's a really, really good tool for that. Now, as I push my preamp gain more, you're gonna hear some more breakup happening. And as I kind of push it even more, you can see it gets into more of what they call drive. And I can feel that low end still getting kind of raucous, and I turn the mid-range down too. So it's got sort of that undefined Fender low end, because I didn't change anything on the speakers, just kind of played around with the preamp gain, and that's what's gonna happen. Now you're noticing the volume's gonna go too, gonna get louder. So this is where it gets tricky with this pedal, and I call it the set it and forget it, because if you're gonna go playing around, it can be tough to find your way back to the original sound that you liked. So find one that you like and maybe go with it and add your pedals from there. And we'll talk about all the ins and outs as well too. So as I turn this preamp up more, you want to turn this power amp down. But I will tell you, the thing I like about this is that it feels like what I'm used to with an amplifier, and it's got to be because of the analog nature of it. So that's the Fender type sound with the matched power amp and a 212 type of sound. We can play around with some other sounds. Let's just listen to more of the Vox creation and the Marshalls too. So what I'm doing now is I'm matching up the British style or the AC30 style preamp and power amp, and I dialed in something that was a little bit of that sort of jangly AC30 type of sound. I still have my bass low and I still have the mids low, and I'm really relying on the resonance control to get me some tones because it acts similar to what the original cut knob would do on the Voxes. So you could take it here and it pulled all that low end out, and I'm coming back, fills it up a little bit more. But if I wanted that cleaner, I would just pull this back, turn this up. Or if I wanted to really start to drive it, so it has that EL84 type of, of grind and compression. The thing I will say, because I like to be as honest and transparent as I can, is there's just enough differentiation. In other digital modelers, you really start to hear, oh wow, there's a difference in amps. But that's actually pretty cool that it doesn't change that much. It's just adding some different flavors here and there with whatever sort of filtering process they're doing. It's kind of magical, but it's also not for those who don't like to tweak and like to see screens. I'm more of a knob guy, so this is right up my alley. But yeah, so we also, in the cabinet section, we kept it on 212 and we dialed up the blues. We could do cab type 412. Feels big and gnarly. Now you go to a 112, now it starts to sound very focused. But the thing I like is that the overdrives feel like they're coming from one of these, which is really, really hard to do. A lot of companies are obviously doing a great job of it, but that's what's special about this. There's something going on with the way it feels, and that's what I like. All right, let's hear some Marshall sounds and continue to play around. All right, we got some cranked up Marshall sounds happening. So what I did was I went to the Marshall section here, where MS Brit, fair enough, we know what that is. I have a real tough time with companies that try to get too cute with the names. Just call it, as close as you can without getting sued, right? So I got the preamp gain cranked up, and I have the power amp pulled back. So it's giving me that really good compression. Now, as you turn up gain, low end comes with it, which is why I have the bass rolled down so much, because otherwise it just gets like a mushy mess. But that's what really happens in amplifiers, so they really nailed that. And it feels great, like I said, in the other examples I was playing, and that's important. And what we did on the speaker section here was we went to the greenbacks, we went to the 412s. Let me bring a little low end back in. But here, when I change speakers, what happens? And I can change the color of the speaker as I do that. Or I can have one different left and right side. Whoa, that sounds weird. Pretty interesting. You can really feel it in the ears back and forth. Let's match them up. Yeah, I turned the reverb up so we got a nice kind of soft place to land, but that's how this box works. It's really like a set it and forget it kind of amplifier. I think it's a great tool for not just, practicing at home and you have these functions where you can put headphones into it, or you can use your external device for your songs to play along to. But really, it's meant to work with a guitar player, I think, that wants to put other stuff into it and use it as the end of the chain amplifier. And that's kind of why I'm treating it just like a single amp now. We're not talking about, look, all the things we can do and switch back and forth. Dial up a sound, leave it that way, and go from there. So I've been talking a lot about how I think the Simplifier works best. And to me, it's a standalone amplifier that's a set and forget kind of box. And I think it's valuable because for someone like me, I want to travel or do shows with the pedals that I know and love, that I'm comfortable with. And there's no menus, there's no parameters, there's no save functions. I can reach down and grab a knob just like a normal amplifier. That's what I love. That's what I'm used to. And for someone like me, that's why the Simplifier is attractive. So I have my pedal board that I've been using on my smaller gigs, handful of overdrives and some other fun stuff. And let's hear how it sounds going into the Simplifier. So I have more of that clean sound dialed up from the earlier part of the video. Okay, so let's hear that, and it's got the reverb on too. So my normal sort of go-to overdrive is always my Greer Lightspeed. It just sounds like I turned an amp up. So it really feels like what I'm used to, which I keep saying and stressing feel. That's the thing about modelers. It's got to feel like an amp. Now the thing is, when most people buy these boxes and they spend $300, they want it to do all the bells and whistles. For me, I don't care so much about that. I would pay $300 or more just to have it feel good, and it does. So I can continue to do any of my normal functions with my pedals and feels pretty good. I'm a big pedal stacker, like I might stack this Cornerstone Gladio on. So I got a little bit more compression. Pretty quiet with all that gain. A little bit of hum, pull it down there. But that's what I'm used to, and that's my world. You know, if I want to hear, well, let's go back to this, you know, add some more reverb from my Hydra. A little tremolo. Fun stuff. Maybe I'll throw on, take that off, a little longer delay from the Halo. Let's go to the Andy Timmons setting that I like so much. Where is it? Yeah, there we go. It just feels good. A little Rotasonic. Fun. So it's all working like I expect it to. As I play, I'm not feeling any weirdness coming from the Simplifier. That's why it's called the Simplifier, I think, because it is simple and it works like an amp. It takes all your pedals and really makes it super usable in a direct recording or performing situation. So a company can really win me over when they think of the little things, and the engineers and designers consider all types of players and their needs. And the folks at DS Humboldt have really done that, which is why I like the Simplifier a lot. We just plug into the input, and on this side of the box, we have a stereo effects loop, and then we have the reverb control right here. So you can plug your time-based effects in if you want. Really nice option. Spin it around, we have a stereo XLR out. You don't have to go stereo, but you can, and it's amazing how they squeezed 2 little XLR jacks in there. Love it. Ground lift on there too if you're getting some ground hum. Just flip the ground. Now, as we spin it around, there's even more happening on the 1/4 inch out. So if you're going to another amplifier or a 1/4 inch input of any type, you can do that here, left and right. You can also bypass the internal cabinet in here. So if you're going to like an IR player pedal, you don't want to use the cabinet simulation in here. You want to use it in a different kind of pedal. You can do that. And you can also flip over the through switch, and that'll bypass the unit entirely. Maybe you want to take it out of the chain for a particular show or something. I don't know, but they give you that option like a direct box would give you. So they thought of a lot. And then we also have headphone jack. We have an auxiliary input. I used this in a hotel recently to practice to learn some songs for a show I had to do, and it worked really, really well. And then we have this level control, which the level control works with the effects loop side as well. So they thought of a bunch of stuff, and it runs on, it says 9 to 12 volts DC, so it'll work with any kind of power supply. And again, it's super small, size of a phone, if not smaller. So there you go, guys. That's my take on the Simplifier Mark II from DS Humboldt. I really like this box. It's got a lot of smart features, and if you're the kind of person that needs to go ampless and you want to make it quick, easy, and painless, you don't want a digital modeler with a bunch of parameters and menus and all that other kind of stuff, this is really, really easy to use. Dial up one sound, use your pedals, you're off to the races. And don't forget to check the links below because we're going to give away a Simplifier Mark II to one of you. It's going to be an international contest, so anyone can enter. So best of luck, click the links, give it a shot. In addition to entering to win the Simplifier Mark II, there's a link below where you can grab that track I was playing to for free. That gets you into my free YouTube collection that has all kinds of tracks and tabs. Drop your email, sign up for that free course, and anything you get is free of charge. Again, thanks to Sweetwater for not only sponsoring the video, but hooking me up with one of these demo units to try and the giveaway model that one of you can enter to win. All right, let me know what you thought of the video and the DS Humboldt Simplifier Mark II. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Love to hear from you. It's always funny and informative for me to read your comments. All right, I'll see you next time.